Hi there, and welcome to week 2 of the semester. Hopefully you had a great first week and are ready to roll with week number 2, getting a little bit more comfortable with the class setup and the Moodle. I'll send out some reminders the first few weeks for folks about stuff now and then, but it will follow a pretty constant routine of Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday deadlines throughout the semester so that you can plan accordingly and fit it into your schedule based on what you're doing with the rest of your life. I just want to look back briefly at the first week here and review a few things that we did. We just sort of got started with a little bit of review of the book and pop culture and got really beginning course information. I enjoyed the Getting to Know You forum and encourage you to sort of use it as a touchstone. In the future, you're going to be in groups with people to give feedback on essays and things like that. And you may want to visit this occasionally to sort of, when you're in a new group with new people, you can take a look and get a little bit of an insight to who they are before and while you're working within that group. So it can be a good resource throughout. Also a reminder, we're going to be doing research all semester long, and folks got started with the research collections last week. And just want to click on here real quick and point out that when you're looking at a research collection, I've gone through, and for the first few that people have posted at the beginning of the semester, what I've done is provide feedback and comments. You'll see that actually all the way over to the right, there's an instructor comment, and it says, see the comments in the summary section. And if you see, in this case I did it in the summary section, there's a tiny little triangle in the top right corner of any box that I insert a comment into it. So if you hover over it, you'll see my suggestion. And I'd actually encourage you to check out both the comments I make for your entries as well as those by other people, so you can see the type of feedback that I'm giving to folks. If you haven't added anything to one of the collection yet, please go ahead and do so. I'm commenting on those the first week. I'll try to get some late stragglers there and comment on them as well. And then it's going to be an ongoing thing for you just to continue adding to these. And remember that these are actually a resource for you to go to as well when you're planning a paper, when you want to try to maybe even brainstorm some topics that you're interested in that you want to look at. These are a good resource to go and read about what other people have found and use them in some cases for your research, but in others just as a springboard for ideas and getting more information. So do take a look at those things. We also kicked off with the pre-survey for Begin Your Research. If you haven't taken that already, please go ahead and do so now. I would like you to do the entire series of things so that you can get exposure to the library, and it's helpful for the librarian to know how you started and what you learned by the end of this sequence. What you will be doing with that this week, I'll talk about in a second as we move into week 2. This week we're going to be introducing some new activities, and one of them is the Writer's Toolbox, and there's an overview of that. And what this is an alternating weeks generally. On Tuesdays you'll have a post due, and some weeks, as this week, it's just a reflection where you're writing about yourself as a writer, and you're really writing just to me. Okay, so you're not sharing that. These are open only to you and me when you write something here. On the alternating weeks, as in next week and week 3, you'll actually post a little bit of writing to share with folks, and I'll have some instructions for a quick activity to help you focus and to get some feedback, to get some ideas going regarding different writing strategies. A lot of them related to the things in our textbook at the beginning of the semester, and then moving into other skills later in the semester to help with revision and refining your work. So on those weeks, as is recorded in the overview, you'll actually have 2 deadlines. But this week for the toolbox reflection, you just have a single one. But the overview is here, so please make sure to read that so you have an idea of what we're going to be doing. Because we're going to be talking about research, I also really encourage you to get into the HSU library and check it out from top to bottom. It's amazing to me how often students get into later in their college career and didn't know that on the top floor of the library is the Humboldt Room, which has an entire floor dedicated to resources and things within our community and county. Or didn't know that the ground floor of the library has a writing center and a learning center and resources available to help students with their coursework, or even where the maps are located or the government documents. So get in there and just check it out. Walk around and see what's there. It's your resource. It's available to you for free, one of the few things that you get for free anymore at the campus. So see what's available there for you to do. You will be beginning the Begin Your Research segment of the course, which is something put together by the librarians at Humboldt State, that help just give you an overview of how to navigate the HSU system. So please you have an overview, a little bit of a tutorial, and then you have an assignment to begin your research, the first 2 sections of that this week. So please make sure to check that out. I will be responding to things pretty quickly. The one thing that's a little bit slower in coming is your scores, your completion of the Begin Your Research tutorial. I'm dependent upon the grade reporting for the librarian to do that and get back to me with grades. So sometimes there can be a little bit of delay as far as how that goes. There's some reading from the They Say, I Say text this year about I Take Your Point, and I think that you'll find that useful for discussions. And there's also this week, in response to the reading that we're going to be doing about social media this week in relation to pop culture, there's going to be an analytical response. And an analytical response is described in the Analytical Response Forums overview, of course. And you'll see the link for those things down here in your activities box. So please make sure to review all of the resources up here in the preparation section, to complete your reflection, to post your analytical response, which you'll see when you click on here. Real simple, you post to your team color. If you haven't signed up for your team color, you need to do so in week 1. So get back there and do that if you haven't already. And then join a group. And if you're from Team Green, you click on here and you're going to reply to this and then copy. I would suggest doing your response in advance in Google Docs or word processing, and then copy and paste your response here. We rarely, but occasionally do get glitches in Moodle, and I don't want you to spend your time writing like 600 or 800 words here, and then the system goes down and you lose it all. So I really recommend that for all the writing you do for this class, you use Google Docs or do it in word processing and copy and paste here. You'll save yourself a lot of headaches. Just the one time it happens to you is always something that you'll regret. So do take the chance to do that and then copy it here. I think that's it for this week. Please let me know if you have questions, and I'm always available to help you, talk through Moodle, give you some feedback, and let me know how I can help. Take care, happy week 2, and I'll see you on Moodle.